This is former WWE superstar and owner of OVW, Al Snow, and you're listening to Count It Out.
Listening to Count It Out with Mike and Tyler.
Well, we are live, pals, and welcome to another edition of the Bill Apter Seal of Approved Count It Out with Mike and Tyler. My name is Tyler, and this is a weird one this week. I'm joined by Mike. We're together.
And Tyler. I thought we were going to have to change the name of the show.
Yeah, well,
it was going to be Mike or Tyler plus guest.
Plus guest, yeah. The Mike or Tyler variety show.
Yeah, it's been a weird couple of months. I think this is the only second time in 2 months you and I have been able to sit down together.
Yeah, it's been weird, but we still put our content out, and we still try to give you guys the best that we can.
Well, and, I will flat out say I'm glad we're doing today's show. You created this show for last week. I'm glad we're able to get this out because I'm looking forward to it. Thank you for putting together that Vince show, easy for me to say, so quickly last week. You did a great job with that. I'm going to pull the curtain back here. I gave Tyler zero notice. We were less than 30 minutes away from recording time. I was getting my stuff ready. I got a very unfortunate phone call from my mother saying that my grandmother had passed away. Obviously, my mood for podcasting has kind of gone out the window at this point.
I mean, there are bigger things in the world than podcasting.
Exactly. So I called Tyler. Strange to me that I called Tyler before anybody else. After I talked to my mom, I didn't talk to my cousins, I didn't talk to my sister, I didn't talk to my dad. I called you first.
I'm the needy one.
It's true. I told you what was going on. I said, I'm very sorry I can't do it tonight. Less than 13, 14 hours later, you compiled all these, 40 minutes of Vince McMahon clips.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really too big of a miracle job I did. I had them clipped already.
Well, remember when you had to think of how many times somebody on our show has talked about Vince? Then you had to go and find the interviews, find where they talked about Vince, clip it out and compile it. That's a lot of work, man.
I mean, to be fair, 95% of the clips I already had clipped anyways. So, but then there's a couple I went back. Yeah, I clip constantly on our interviews. I have hundreds of clips on my computer of just, when I have time, I'll make some reels and put them out there. But I always knew in the back of my head, there's 2 shows that I knew we had to do. And this was before all the Vince stuff came out. And again, like I said last week, also, all these interviews was
before the allegations. Yeah.
But I always will keep a note if somebody talks about Vince for the most part and clip it. And every single time anybody ever talks about Stu Hart, I clip it. So we will be doing a Best of Stu Hart show at some point as well.
Speaking of Stu Hart, I'm excited. I got a little cameo from Harry Smith, British Bulldog Jr. for my son, because my son loves him some Davy Boy. So I got him a cameo from Harry. That's going to be fun. Finn's going to like that.
Hopefully, future guest.
Hopefully. Here's the funny thing. I asked him. I said, "Listen, Davy. He's a big fan of Davy. He's a big fan of the Allied Powers." I said, give him a match. Give him any Davey match. I'm like, it'd be cool if you suggested a match of your dad's to my son. And of all matches, he chose the Allied Power versus the Blue Brothers.
Wow, WrestleMania, man.
That made me giggle, man. I love that.
Well, I mean, let's really go back and look at the run of the Allied Powers. There's only about 6 matches.
I didn't necessarily tell him it had to be the Allied Powers, though. I said Davey. I wanted Davey matches. I did mention that his current favorite match is a Allied Powers match.
Great theme music for the Allied Powers.
My son absolutely loves the Allied Powers versus Owen and Yoko.
I love their theme music.
He's watched that match like 3-4 times already.
But their theme music.
Their theme music is great.
It's really good.
Now, before we get into a couple things, I know you want to talk about AEW and you want to talk about the PWI. Before we do that, I have a couple real world things I want to throw out, get out of the way first before we do
real world, but this is wrestling, Mike.
Well, before we get into wrestling, some real world stuff. Number one, we haven't talked since this happened, so I just want to talk real quick. I had a fucking ball at your bachelor party.
I believe I did as well.
I was gonna wait till you're on the show to ask you if you had a good time, but I know you don't know.
I had a great time.
Yeah.
I people have asked me since over the last couple of weeks of how my bachelor party was, and this is the answer I give them. If you could like be like Tyler, you can plan out every second of your bachelor party any way that you want it to go. And you can have it like that. What I got was better than what I could have planned.
You spent 90% of the time peeing into a life jacket.
I mean, yeah,
I agree with you.
I lived in that water. I got sick because I was in there for so long. And we were literally laying in the water. I can't remember. I know you were on the dock for a little bit. I can't remember if you came in the water when it was pouring rain. We were sitting in there.
I pushed out. I was down at the dock. It started like I was getting ready to go in. Then the rain just really started coming down. I'm just like, I think I'd rather be inside drinking. And I did.
I was outside drinking. Yeah. We got hammered.
Yes, we did.
Oh yeah, we had quite the weekend.
It was a very fun weekend. One of the funnest weekends I've had in a very long time. So thank you to that for that.
Well,
thank your brothers for that because they really did the legwork for that.
Yeah. A couple people really went above and beyond too, which they don't listen to this, so I won't publicly thank them. But now Phil and Drew were fantastic. Everybody was fantastic. Like
everybody was great.
Everybody brought their A game.
It was a great group of people. I had a lot of fun.
And I'm mad at my friend Drew because he's ruined chicken wings for me because I don't think I'll ever have better chicken wings than what he made.
Those chicken wings were so good.
And Phil's pulled pork was out of this world as well.
Now, my second thing is not so positive. I hate you.
Yep.
And I hate fantasy football.
Yeah, well, you ate a big L to my fiance Victoria this week in fantasy football.
So here's what I'm thinking. No, nothing but W's in the Wolf household this week.
That's right.
Fucking collusion, baby. Collusion.
Well, I mean, I can tell you that it would help you winning in fantasy football if you drafted a running back. Well, you drafted a running back. You need more than one.
I drafted two.
I mean, you drafted 1.5. You drafted a backup. A lot of backup running backs you got. But
listen, I was drafting number 14. By the time everything got to me.
Nah, you need some. You're going to need to take a look at the waiver wire for some running backs. You're going to have to hope for an injury. You are going to have to make a trade because you have very strong wide receivers, but you need to ship one out for a running back.
My wide receivers are great. I already wasn't that very happy with my tight end. And then he went and got himself fucking injured this week. I'm not happy. Down week 1. I know I'm facing you in week 3, so I need a big W this week.
I am the king of my fantasy football league. I am a 3-time champion. I do not mess around.
I cannot walk into a match with you after a second L. I can't.
So. No, you will be 0-3, and it will be terrible for you.
But once again, I say collusion.
Well, you know.
This. I don't blame it all on collusion. I blame it all on there's something wrong in the world. This is what happens when we live in a world where Clay Wilson is the Barry wrestling champion.
Man, I cannot wait I missed the show and I'm so heartbroken about it, but I cannot wait to see the footage of this event because it looks incredible.
The minute it comes out on IWTV, I'm going to be sitting Finn down, and he and I are going to watch it together. I told him yesterday that Clay was champion. I showed him the pictures and a little clip of him doing it, and my son marked out so hard.
You shouldn't have showed him. You should have let him watch it live.
I know, but so we're gonna watch IWTV later this week when I have a chance, and I can't wait to watch that with him. I'm really excited.
The whole show looked fantastic from top to bottom. Everybody's raving about it in our little group chat that we have when we kind of go over some stuff for shows that need to be gone over. I'm really excited to announce the project that we will be launching soon. I think we're gonna have to wait a little bit more before I can announce that, but stay tuned to the Barry Wrestling YouTube channel because there is some fun stuff coming up that I'm very proud to be a part of.
We're allowed talking about the big thing though, right?
What,
Like,
Rogers?
yeah, okay.
Yeah, we can talk about Rogers TV is
That's
good.
okay.
Yeah, Rogers TV is good. We're going to be starting up on Rogers TV at the end of September. I don't know the channels. I have not been informed yet. I don't know exactly. I believe it's going to be on Friday evenings is going to be when it will be on, but that's not locked in. So stay tuned to Barry Wrestling social medias.
Going up against SmackDown. All right, let's do it.
Well, and Roman's injured. It's the perfect time to do it. Roman's out. Solo laid him out with Jacob Fatu. So this is a good time to go.
That's it.
But yeah, it's looked like a great show. And then the next show is going to be in October the 5th, I believe, and it is a mystery show. So you never know.
Excited about that, man. I wish I could go to that. I'm in a state right now where I can't ask for Saturdays off on my new job. I just can't. And the rare Saturdays I will ask off, I'm asking off for reasons, It won't be till the new year that I could actually be like, hey man, I need a Saturday off once a month to go to Barry. So I'm really upset I'm going to miss these next few shows.
Well, they're big shows because you're going to miss the 10-year anniversary show as well.
I know. I just don't have a choice though.
Well, you'll get your Barry Wrestling fix though, because leading up to that 10-year anniversary show, we're going to have a lot of Barry Wrestling content interviews on our show.
Absolutely.
That's a big deal. Congratulations.
Like one of my big wants in my life is for you and I to take a road trip down to the Ottawa area, go visit Good Walsh, go visit Franchise, and take in like a C4 show. But even more importantly, I want to take in a mystery wrestling show.
Did you say go visit Franchise? I'm out. You had me at Good Walsh. I like me some Good Walsh. Great dude. Franchise.
Really? Because you had a really good time at the Impact tapings because of Franchise.
Well, I was just trying to forget that he was there.
True enough. Man.
He doesn't listen to this anyways, so we can bury him every week.
Either way, you were gonna be feeling like that because you had your own supplies in our hotel room that you never touched, but you sure as hell touched his.
There was no touching. Although I will say thank you to all of you guys for not letting us go to the casino that night. That was a good call on your guys' part. You had two jobs. Don't let us go to the casino and don't let me buy a turnbuckle. And I did not do either or.
Tried hard to go to the casinos. So somebody else was down. I can't remember.
I think it was Sukram might have been down.
I think it was Sukram. I think Suk really wanted to go with you. Yeah.
Yeah, we were. That would have been a bad call.
Yeah, I think Adam and I were the. I think Danny too. I think Danny was down.
No, Danny and I were the ones trying to get the whole thing going.
Yeah.
I think we got Sukram a little bit getting the itch to go as well, but luckily we just settled for pizza and wings and counted out after dark instead.
Oh God,
yeah, going to a mystery show would be great. I watched a bit of the last mystery wrestling show with RJ City.
Yeah, I love those mystery shows. They're so fun. I really want to go to one. So the fact that Barry's doing their own version of one is really cool to me. I love that.
Yeah, it's fun. It's going to be a fun show. I can't wait to see. I don't know anything about what's going on yet with that show. So, and even if I did, I wouldn't tell you guys anyways, because then, although I will give a big shout out to the show name of Building a Mystery Show.
I love it
because Sean is a huge Sarah McLachlan fan.
But not only that, he's always come up with a really clever music pun-based.
Yeah, but this is solely based on his love for Sarah McLachlan.
Yeah.
Which I think this could actually be a Mike Jeffries suggestion for the name, but who knows? Who knows?
Well, all right. Before we say anything else, tell the people what are we doing for the list today?
Well, we're going to take a look back at the career of Sycho Sid, who we tragically lost a couple weeks ago.
One of my favorites of all time.
Yeah, he was definitely one of the childhood favorites growing up. He was scary, man. Sid was a scary dude, and we're gonna talk in great detail about Sid before we get into the list as well. But I have some talking points I want to
Yeah,
talk
let's do
about.
it. What are we going to talk about?
Let's start with some. Let's start with the AEW pay-per-view so we can end on a high note.
Sure.
AEW presented all out pay-per-view.
Now, we haven't been together since All In either. Do you want to do both or just All Out?
I mean, if you want to talk about anything from All In, I know you're not watching
Because you were a
AEW.
big, here's what I want, because I want to compare this because you were a big fan of All In.
I
Were you
thought both.
not?
I didn't watch a lot of All In. I watched the main event,
Okay.
and
All
it
right.
was absolutely spectacular, and will be hard to not be on my year-end list moments of
Okay.
Danielson winning the world title.
All right.
It was a beautiful moment. The match was fantastic. It told a great story. And you truly just didn't know who was going to win, which I was really into. Because, Danielson, if he just backed it up, like he had a career, the miles
Yeah.
are on the body, all the media that he did leading up to it, he sold so well. Swerve Strickland was having a great run as champion. Like, I just laugh at all these AEW, all these wrestling fans and these AEW fans, and that are just idiots that are like, oh, I told you guys Swerve was a transitional champion and that he was going to lose at All In. It just wasn't to Osprey, it was to Dragon. It's like, let's talk about what a transitional champion is.
Yeah.
It's not a
You
champion
took
that
that so
has
wrong.
6 months of title defenses or however long his title reign was. It's
No,
like 3 weeks to a month, and then you transition it over.
it's
Here's
literally a transitional champion is literally because you don't want wrestler A to have to lose to wrestler C. So wrestler B comes in the middle and does the win in the job. He's
yes.
there strictly to grab this title and give it to that guy.
So let's
It
use an
doesn't happen.
example.
It doesn't happen over 6 months.
There's two examples of transitional champions that I will give you. The first one, it takes us back to the Bruno Sammartino eras. Bruno Sammartino eras, easy for me to say. Not the Taylor Swift eras, but I mean, I'd be down for those as well.
Okay.
Stan Stasiak wins the title
Yeah.
from, I believe, did he beat Pedro? I think Stasiak, or no, Pedro beat.
You're way more well versed in that era than I am, man.
Well, Stasiak won the title and then dropped it very quickly. I think he beat Pedro and dropped it to Bruno because you can't, or it was the other way around. It was one of the two because they couldn't have Bruno fighting Pedro. The more
Well,
famous one,
especially back then, you didn't have face and faces. You just
100%.
you just didn't do it.
The more famous one is the Iron Sheik. Bob Backlund was your world champion. Hulk Hogan is coming in. You don't
Yeah,
want Hogan to come in and beat up your big baby face, so you put the title on your biggest heel, which was the Iron Sheik. He held it for 23 days, and then boom, pass
exactly.
it on.
Yeah.
That is a
No,
transitional champion.
there's so many wrestling terms. I get mad when I hear guys like CM Punk and Ric Flair bitch about the fans using wrestling terms. But then I'm like, sometimes they have a fucking point because the fans, so many fans use these wrestling terms wrong. If you're gonna use the terminology, learn what they mean.
Well,
Simple as that.
did you watch any of the All In show?
I saw the Danielson Swerve match.
What do you think?
I liked it. It's not match of the year for me.
No, not match of the year, but what a
Well,
moment.
it's making a list for you, so it's got to
I'm
be
not I'm not doing it for the match per se as the actual moment and the emotions that it drew out of it.
okay. I kind of get that.
And I'm a big Dragon
I
guy. I've always been a big
built
Dragon
I'm
guy.
built different, and people you call me a pussy, call me weird, whatever. I'm built different than a Daniel Bryanson or Daniel Bryanson. Yes, I'm built different than Bryan Danielson in the fact that, and I'm not saying this is wrong. I'm not saying what he did is wrong. It's just not what I would do
In which regards?
as a father. I don't think I could stand there holding my kids while I bleed out and fucking okay. So, and I'm not saying I have a problem with it. I'm saying it's not what I, as a father, could do. So when I watch somebody do it, it's not this fantastic moment for me because all I can think of is like, how could he do that to his kid? Again,
Well,
please don't quote me, listeners. Don't quote me saying, "Oh, Mike thinks AEW is stupid because kids shouldn't see blood." Listen, I don't know if it's right or if it's wrong. I don't know. I know that what I would do and what I'm comfortable with. If I was a performer, I wouldn't want my son to witness that. That's all.
now I'm gonna play catch. I'm not gonna agree or disagree with your point because I think you make a fair point.
But I don't have a point to disagree or agree with. This is what I'm saying.
So
I'm not
I'll
saying
flip
I'm
it.
not saying
I'll go on
same.
the flip side. You know, I think it's different if you're a child growing up in the industry also. Because like they're
But you're still a
accustomed,
child.
you're around that it's normal to you. You know what I mean?
That's healthy.
Well, that's wrestling, right? Like you're around the business, and I'm sure that they sat down and had a conversation as a family with first probably himself and his wife Bree, and then with the children. And probably Swerve was involved.
Why bring the kids in?
I mean, that the whole thing was built around that, right? And the kids were in the front row.
Oh.
So
I
if you were a wrestler, would you not want your kids to watch you wrestle, or would you
Yes,
not want them to be like
but
that? It doesn't work anymore.
I think I would let them watch and wrestle, but I think I would tell my wife every once in a while, don't let the kids watch tonight.
Well, I'm sure that's what happened at the All In show
Fuck
or
them.
All Out show.
Oh,
Sorry.
God, damn, I hope so.
Absolutely. But that's a different story. Let's go into All Out then.
Again, dude, don't think that I'm saying what I think Danielson was wrong. I don't think what he did was wrong. I think he made a decision that I, as a father, couldn't make. So when you say that's a great moment, I just put myself in there as myself, and I can't. That's all.
Well, I mean, you're singling in on like one part of the whole thing, though, correct? Like
sometimes though, it's a domino effect. One little thing.
what do you think that those kids are going to remember more? Being in the ring, celebrating this huge moment, or that moment? Like, I don't know. It's tough to say because I'm not there, but I didn't have as much of a problem with it as you did.
Like to me, this isn't Canadian Stampede.
Well, that's a different, yeah. Because that's different also, right? Like we're Canadian, like we have more of a sentimental attachment to the Hearts than anything. The Hearts are heroes
for the family. Like that's not the same.
Oh, not to us, but to Dragon and his family, it's probably way bigger, right? Well, I can tell you, it's probably way bigger to them because it's their family moment, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of people that are Americans probably watch Canadian Stampede, like, yeah, that's cool, whatever.
I just think as a performer, if I want to create a moment with my children in the ring, maybe I'm not losing a pint of blood. That's all.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
I'm trying not to be judgmental here.
Let's switch over then to All Out.
Oh, okay. Now I'm gonna be judgmental.
What do you want to talk about first?
Shit show horrible pay-per-view.
No, that's not true. The pay-per-view was fantastic.
I don't agree.
Well, from an in-ring standpoint, that's a great show from top to bottom, except for a little bit. I haven't watched a lot of it. I've read a lot of it. I've listened to reviews of a lot of the show. I've watched a lot of clips of the show. You can't say what a horrible pay-per-view. You can say that they did incredibly stupid things on the pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
But like there's match of the year contender that I need to go back and watch with Ospreay and Pac. From an in-ring standpoint, they put over a lot of guys. They gave a big rub to Daniel Garcia. The Blackpool Combat Club has an interesting twist now. What was the other one? I can't remember. There's a couple big moments on that show, but I think that it's a stretch to say this is a horrible pay-per-view because of a couple spots.
Do I know? Everyone's so focused on we'll just go to the Blackpool Combat Club thing. Everyone's so focused on the stupid use of a plastic bag over Danielson's head, which I will say, stupid. Fucking stupid.
I didn't have a problem with that one.
I do have a problem with it, but you know what I had a bigger problem with? I had a bigger problem with him no-selling the fucking European uppercut.
I love that sell.
I love that move so much, that when he fell, but then he's like all surprised and shit. I'm like, what? Like
No,
it should have been a different.
I
It should have been a
love
different
it.
move because
No, I love it.
I love Claudio's European uppercut so much that I don't want it to be like.
Yeah, but sometimes though, like
Oh
a shock can take over your body and like push away the pain. Like
yeah,
if I was with you and you just turned around and punched me in the face and I fell, I would be so shocked before I could even register the pain.
yeah.
I mean, I probably wouldn't feel the pain because you probably hit like a little bitch, but I had
I've
to.
definitely had those moments in my personal life. I
You know
get
what I
that.
mean? Like, so I really, really love the cell. Now, I don't have a
If it was any other move, I'm just so protective of that move because first of all, I've always loved the European uppercut. I love
great
it
uppercut.
as a move.
Yeah.
Um, but I do think Claudio does it the best. I
I
think
mean, if
Claudio has.
like if he hit him with like a fucking brain buster or like a pile driver or a tiger driver and he just was like, oh, then I get it. I mean, it's a European uppercut. He didn't even hit him in the
I
face.
I would much rather see a WrestleMania 12 cell of the pedigree.
Oh, God. That wasn't great either. That'll learn you, Triple H, to be in the ring with the click.
Or Hogan. Hogan had a very similar cell of a tombstone once.
Well,
Back in
Hogan just said that Undertaker paralyzed him pretty much when his head was 4 feet off the ground.
yeah, right. But no, I do remember seeing like he just jumped up from a fucking tombstone once.
Yeah, Hawk used to do it to pile drivers all the time.
Okay, so the pasta bag wasn't your problem. So where do your problems lie? The needle in the mouth?
Yeah, I didn't like that. We'll get to the main event, but the plastic bag, like, I mean, I really liked it when Terry Funk did it to Flair back in the day.
Yeah.
I think it's a sick, grotesque item angle. I thought that they did it a little too long for my liking, the plastic bag over Danielson's head. And I'll tell you the only reason why I don't think they should have done it on this show though, or maybe not done it at all. And it's the same reason with the main event, which we'll get into in a moment as well. You are this close to signing a huge television deal.
Mm-hmm.
Not smart timing, AEW. If I'm a sponsor and I'm like,
they're really bad for that. They're
that's
really bad for that.
it's almost as bad as Billy Corgan sniffing cocaine, not Billy, but doing cocaine on the NWA.
Exactly. You're about to sign this huge deal. You're about to fucking do this thing with CW, and you have James Mitchell snorting cocaine on the middle of your pay-per-view.
Yeah, just
So
silly.
stupid.
Just silly.
This is the same thing, and I agree with you 100%. My feelings of the violence of the situation. I like violence as much as the next guy. Maybe I shouldn't be such a bitch. Maybe this wasn't that bad because you have a good case here. I also liked it when Terry did it to Ric Flair back in the day. So maybe I'm just being a little too hard on AEW. Maybe the spot itself wasn't that bad. However, the timing of the spot was stupid. Same thing with the needle in the mouth. Same thing with a couple other things.
Well, but here's the thing with the plastic bag spot. Would there really have been a difference if Moxley put him in a choke or put the bag over his head? You'd get the same effect.
It's all about visualization. It's all about
now it makes Moxley look like a psychopath.
And if that's what they're going for, they sure as hell did it right. I don't know what they're doing with Moxley right now.
I'm intrigued.
Came back, I'm very confused. And I'm confused in, I guess, a good way because it's making me think about it. It's making me watch it. It's making me want to know. So I guess it's a good thing. But when he first came back, what I thought they were going to do, they didn't.
But Shane McMahon, is that where your mind went?
And then I thought, well, that was one of them. Yeah. And then when that's not where they were going, where I thought they were going next, they didn't, so it's like, okay, what are you doing with him now? I'm starting to get agitated. Now I'm starting to going, tell me what you're doing with this fucking character. Now this is either a stupid move because you're pissing me off, or it's a genius move because you're pissing me off.
Well, remember,
and I'm going to keep watching.
It's only been 3 weeks also since he's been back.
It feels like much longer.
Because he cut the promo on Darby saying this isn't your company anymore. I like to know what the Darby aspect is. Like, I personally have my own take on the angle. I think maybe it's Moxley being pissed at Danielson for disrespecting the AEW title. You know, you don't want to be committed to this thing. You don't want to be, you want to talk about retirement, then
If he's
you
going this
get the hell
crazy
out.
route, if he's going this crazy route, and this could still happen, I almost feel like, why does he need to be with Claudio? Like he should be kind of be this lone wolf character, you know?
Yeah, I was a little surprised that the whole club turned on him, but I mean, and I like that Wheeler Yuta was very upset by the turn and still left with them because he probably didn't want to get beat up. But where does his allegiance lie? Thought that was pretty cool. I'm intrigued by the angle. I think it's good.
Okay, so before we get to the actual main event and what transpired in it, how do you feel about the stories leading up to Hangman and Swerve?
I really enjoyed the little house burning thing. I thought it was great.
Me too.
I you know, a lot of people and you sent me this meme and I don't know your actual opinions on it, but everybody's like, oh, AEW had to burn a house down to get the same results that WWE did with CM Punk's bracelet. It's like they're so different.
I didn't send you a meme.
Or you sent me a picture of it.
That's my honest opinion.
So you think that like AEW's like where's the comparison? I don't understand where the comparison is at all.
What I said to you was, and I liked, don't get me wrong, I liked the angle. What I'm saying is this is just this is not me shit talking AEW. This is me just talking great things about what I think is going on in WWE right now. In order to get heat in AEW, you have a guy burning down a motherfucking house. Not just any house, the man's childhood home. That's heat. That's great heat. Like, good storytelling. I'm loving it.
Well, that's also like the tail end of like a year and a half of like these guys doing fucked up shit to each other.
And let's say that's right here. Okay, let's say it's right here on the meter of the heat that they're getting and the storytelling they're doing. And if you put it right on par with a fucking bracelet, they're telling the same level of heat and storytelling, if not higher, with a bracelet. I think that's genius. I think that's great. You don't need, it shows that these guys are clever enough to not need to burn down the house, not need for someone to fucking bleed out like a stuck pig. They're finding other ways because they've done it all. They've done the burnt house thing. I'm talking about WWE here.
Yeah.
WWE has done the burnt house thing. They've done the bleeding out like a stuck thing, big thing. They've kidnapped daughters. They've murdered dogs and fed them to there. Like, what do you do now? The fact that they can do all those things, those horrible, despicable things over the years, and they can still get that level of heat with a bracelet, I think just shows how good the writing in WWE is right now. That's all my point was.
I just don't understand what one has to do with the other. Like that, there's like, I don't understand why just because WWE is getting good heat over a bracelet that it has to do anything with AEW.
I'm not saying
like why. Well, but that's what the comparison is. So you're like, oh, they didn't have to burn a house down.
Because it's happening at the same time. That's all.
But why can't
I'm just saying there's apples happening over here, there's oranges happening over here. The apples and oranges are on the same level because they're getting the same level of talk and heat, but one's doing it one way and one's doing it the other way. And I think the other way, I think one way is the tried and true method, the way that has been done. They're taking the beaten path and they're doing it right because people are talking about it and people are liking it. And then the other side is not taking the beaten path. They're doing something that hasn't been done. Something that
they've done stuff similar to this before. They actually are running two of the
friendship blanket.
They did. Taker burnt Vince's. Remember, he burnt Stephanie McMahon's teddy bear and made Vince cry.
Yeah, that's
they've done stuff. But they're also doing the same thing on SmackDown with a necklace. Like it's.
Well, that's it. And I was gonna say that as well. I'm just. You almost sound like you think I'm shit talking AEW here. I'm not.
Well, that's just what it comes across sounding like when everybody's like, when everyone's doing that comparison.
What everybody else says.
Like to me, it's just to me, I just see the sentence should be WWE is doing incredible things with a bracelet. I don't understand why people have to
my
go to
point is, all my
AEW.
point is right now, the reason I'm bringing up AEW is because I think AEW is also doing a cool storyline. Two companies are doing two cool things. I'm just impressed a little bit more with the way that the other company is doing things, because it's something that is not, you you shouldn't get this level of fucking hate and heat and blood feud over a bracelet.
I think you can. If the things are personal to you,
it's not something that you think of right, but it's not something you think of in professional wrestling right away. It's great. You're right. They're taking something that's very personal and they're making it into a great storyline.
like to me, the items are like, it doesn't, to me, the items can be whatever. It's the personal meaning behind it. Like if you go back in time, like Jake the Snake and Macho Man had an incredible feud over a wedding. Like Jake crashes wedding. There's okay, he crashes wedding. Like that's fucked up. That's crazy. But but CM Punk probably has the same meaning to that bracelet that, Macho had to his wedding and that the tribal chief necklace had. Like it's just a personal, the house being burnt down. Like Hangman could have done anything. They just chose with the house because and they did they really told a very smart level of storytelling. I don't know if you picked up on some of this stuff. The All In pay-per-view in London, they announced that Swerve had signed a new contract.
Mm-hmm.
And then they did an online angle where Swerve went to his childhood house and bought it. And then Hangman said, "You finally slipped up and you showed me the first thing that has meaning to you, and I'm going to destroy it." And I thought that was very smart levels of storytelling.
And then in real life, he goes and buys Nana's house. I'm like, uh-oh.
So I now, that being said, as great as I thought the build to Swerve and Hangman was, and as much as I'm enjoying CM Punk and McIntyre coming to Hell in a Cell now, as was announced last night, as we record this,
awesome.
they officially announced Hell in a Cell match. And as much as I'm enjoying the Tribal Chief stuff, I did not enjoy the main event to the All In pay-per-view.
Go into that while I replenish my drink.
I just thought it was just, I don't know, unnecessary. I understand, okay, yes, there needs to be violence, and that's how you've built it. And it's just too bad that we're in a day and age where the cage match is not violent enough. And that's crazy to me. And I know that they've set the bar high with violence in the past before. But I mean, at some point, you just need to go, like, someone needs to step in. And I don't know if, like, the cinder block they used was real or not. It sure as hell looked pretty real because that looked very unforgiving. But now you're getting to sticking needles in your mouth, which I just thought was so unnecessary. And then the biggest thing, too, is the chair shot to the head. Why is it that we're in 2024 with all of the information that we have about chair shots and brain damage and you know what, like it's not even just chair shots, like, and it's not just AEW now, like we're still seeing, garbage cans to the head and like just maybe we shouldn't, like, head trauma is head trauma. Just because the chair hurts more doesn't mean
but the like, it depends on the item, I guess.
it still rattles your brain, man. Cookie sheets, garbage cans. I understand there's more give to them.
Garbage cans they have, like, look at the ones they had in the 90s. Like, look, they're obviously gimmicked. They look like tinfoil.
It doesn't matter. They still are. You're still getting hit in the head. Now, a chair shot should be toast totally.
I agree with that. I think there are certain things, and I do believe that maybe a headshot's okay. We got to get out of the idea of non-protected headshots. There was an era in time, if you put your hands up, you were a pussy. Put your fucking hands up.
How about we just don't swing for the fences on your face and head anymore?
Definitely.
And then we just can take that all out of the equation. And for anyone saying, well, the chair was gimmicked, it doesn't matter. That's the dumbest argument.
Who is it? Corderas versus
UT Marshall. It's Corderas versus the world right now.
Yeah.
And Corderas is right. He is so right. Like, there's no need There is no need in the year 2024. And you know what? There's been no need for the last probably 15 years since all this stuff really, even 20, it's almost 20 years now of like, we know better than this shit.
Yep.
It's there. There's no need for it. It immediately took me out of it. I hated the fact that they did this at War Games 3 weeks ago or 2 months ago or whatever it was. Now here we are doing it again.
War Games?
Yeah, they did it at Blood and Guts there.
Blood and Guts.
Sorry,
Okay.
whatever. They're War Games match.
Yeah,
It's always War Games to me, damn it. But they did it at Blood and Guts with Jack Perry. And it has been about 20 years that we should not be having these headshots anymore. It took me right out of the match. I wasn't really into the match to begin with. It's a little too violent for my likings. But yeah, Tony Khan, what I was getting at is the players will never not push these ideas, and this is where ownership and management has to come in and go, no, we are not doing this, and that is something that is 100% on Tony Khan.
I couldn't agree with you more. Now, before we get to the list, we have two things we really need to slam up really quick. First of all, I just want to talk about Raw really quick last night.
Bret Hart, baby.
And the beautiful, amazing tribute that the WWE did do for the Goudreau family.
Absolutely.
They went above and beyond, I think, more. And I don't want to be like, oh, thank God for the Triple H era, but I almost feel like this wouldn't have happened under Vince.
I think we would have got Sammy wearing the jersey, and that would have been about it.
Yeah, that would have been about it. Whoever's on their community relations team is a fucking. They did it right. They did it right. Having Jackie Redmond do that whole thing on the outside.
Well, she was the perfect person for it too, because 100%. Like that's her background, right? She knew all these guys.
Exactly. It was beautiful. It was amazing. And then Sammy comes up with the jersey. I loved it. I couldn't be happier with the way they handled that situation.
Absolutely.
Especially with that was I don't know if they announced this on Raw or not. I didn't watch the whole show. But last night was the very last wrestling show that'll ever happen in the Saddledome.
That's why they brought Brett in, I heard.
Exactly. So that's to have that tribute for them in the very last night for WWE in there, I think it was fantastic. And to have Brett there and Gunther trolling the shit out of Brett.
Oh, that Goldberg line.
Bill Goldberg.
Love that. That was an amazing line. So real quick before we get into our Sid list here, I just want to. You haven't seen this yet. However,
I didn't know it was out until you mentioned it. Right
PWI 500 has just released their list. And who do you think number one is on the list, if you had to take a guess? Danielson. I will tell you, he did not even make the top 10.
Okay. What is this from, like last September to now?
It's a little bit before. I think it's like summer to summer. Cody is number one.
Okay.
And I'm fine with that. I think that's a fine choice.
Sure.
The rounding out the top 10, number 2 was Swerve Strickland.
Wow.
Big jump for him. I would have had him in my top 10 for sure, but not at my number 2. I think that this man, the number 3 spot, Will Ospreay, I think would have been a great number 2.
Yeah, okay.
Seth freaking Rollins at number 4.
All right.
Tatsuya Naito at number 5, which I do not agree with.
Neither do I. Don't get me wrong. I love the guy. I don't think he's top 5.
He has not had that year. Damian Priest at number 6.
Okay.
MJF at number 7. I think he should be a lot higher as well, coming off that incredible AEW title reign that he had.
Well, he was out most of the year, though.
Yeah, but this is going back to last year as well, right?
Yeah, okay. All right.
John Moxley at number 8, which I don't think so at all. No. Gunter at number 9. That guy should be in your top 3 maybe as well.
Sure.
And then Mystico at your number 10 spot over in AAA. I don't know much about what he's doing, but I think Gunter needs to be in your number 3.
The blatant lack of Dominic Mysterio on this top 10 is
well, I mean, he should not be in the top 10, but I do think that Danielson should be in the top 10, and I think Gunter should be number 2 or number 3 with Ospreay.
Mysterio is the greatest heel in professional wrestling right now, and
he is
to be on the top, at least number 10 for that.
He's been the greatest heel in wrestling for the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, what do you think? You want to talk a little Psycho
Well,
Sid?
TWA, come on. Obviously, you're holding out on me here. We got friends on there.
Haven't seen the full list yet.
Oh, okay.
I know Myung Jae Lee is on the list. I know Alexia Nicole is on the list, and I know Vaughn Vertigo is on the list. But they haven't released the whole list yet, unless you've purchased the copies. So I will update next week.
All right. Well, maybe I'll go pick up a copy on my way to pick up the kid from school.
There you go. Keep me posted.
There you go. Okay, let's get into this list.
Yeah, so Sid, we don't really need to run down his whole career because we're going to run down the biggest moments right now, but unfortunately we lost him.
No,
And
we're doing career moments, right?
top
Like
seven career moments.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
top seven career moments.
We're talking about Sid Vicious, we're talking about Sid Justice, we're talking about Sycho Sid,
All of it.
skyscrapers.
We're talking about my number 7 moment being a part of the Four Horsemen.
All right. It's big if you're a four horseman, I guess. But
Hey man, his run, that Horseman group was awesome.
yeah.
Sid, Barry Windham, Arn Anderson, Ric Flair. He had some big moments in the group. Do you know originally why they brought Sid into the Four Horsemen? Like from a kayfabe's point of view, like from a work?
I'm gonna say they were giving him the Mabel treatment, so they didn't have to work him.
No, they brought him in to battle RoboCop for Sting. With Sting. That was the main reason that they brought Sid into the Four Horsemen. But he had some big moments there. He headlined Halloween Havoc 89 against Sting, or 90, one of the two. I believe it was 90, actually. Sorry, Halloween Havoc 90 against Sting, where they did that goofy finish with Barry Windham as dressed up as Sting.
And then stabbing, right?
Yes, and then he absolutely destroyed Arn Anderson or Brian Pillman, sorry, with those power bombs in the War Games match. A couple of his highlights from that time period.
Yeah, okay, I'm down with this being your number 7. All right.
Number 6, his return to Monday Night Raw against Heath Slater.
Yes,
this is a great moment.
This better be on your list somewhere. This is a fantastic moment. I'm upset that he didn't get the pop he deserved from the crowd.
Yeah.
The crowd was not nearly hot enough for him, but he came in, he did great work against Heath. Heath did his job perfectly. I loved every part of it. Every bit of it.
I mean, it's exactly what it needed to be. Heath was doing that angle. And it was just nice for Sid's last moment, like, to be better than his WCW moment.
It was such a goofy angle too, and I loved it because every week he would say like a catchphrase or something that had to do with whoever was coming out. And then we were led to believe, Heath didn't know he was coming out, whatever.
Yeah, it was fun.
But Heath did this thing where he called himself the master and the ruler of the world. And as soon as he did that, you knew that music was hitting, and the old Psycho Sid music hit, and he comes out and he's wearing the vest, he's doing the fist bumps. I want everybody to know, I remember this so distinctively. Psycho Sid was fist bumping before it was cool.
Absolutely, he made it cool.
When fist bumping really became a thing in the early 2000s, I'm like, Psycho Sid's been doing this for like 5 years.
Yeah, Sid's been doing that since '96, man.
Right.
My number 5, it was just a cool thing, little notch on the cap here, but his WCW world title wins. He's got 2 of them, 2-time world champion, beat Kevin Nash inside of the steel cage for like his run. Unfortunately, like his reigns never really got to be anything because that's when they brought in the Russo Bischoff era, so he got stripped of the title.
By the time he came back to WCW, the writing was on the wall, and it
Whoa.
wasn't for WCW.
He had that great run with Goldberg when he first got in doing the Millennial Man stuff. That was really fun.
Yeah.
And before we continue to, just like I don't want to bring a lot of light onto it, but you have to give props to some of his promos as well. They were the best and the worst. He's like a Psycho version of the Ultimate Warrior.
The Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
What's my favorite one they did? He goes, I've got half the brain that you do. Like
I'm half the man that you are, and I've got half the brain. Something like, or you're twice like the man that I am, and I've got half the brain that you are.
Hey, it was so horrible. It was so bad. But I want everybody to remember something, okay? These are humans. They have nerves. They get out there. They know what they're going to say, and the words come out wrong sometimes. It happens to us on this show all the fucking time. It happened to one of the greatest wrestlers to ever lace up his boots once, unless you forget that Owen once kicked a leg from under a leg.
Absolutely.
Okay? It
those
happens to everybody.
those fun promo botches are also why we are live pals. So that's the genesis of our whole beginning to our show every week.
That's it.
And
Nope,
that was just because I didn't know how to cue you in that I was going to start the podcast. So I was like, oh, we're live, pals. I don't know why that popped into my head.
Now put that cigarette out and tell me what
Put
your number
that
4
cigarette
is.
out. Number 4, we're going to the night after WrestleMania 11 and his heel turn against Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, I mean,
This was a
this
big
has to be on
angle.
the list. It's a tremendous angle. This did so many cool things because by the time we leave WrestleMania 11, Shawn Michaels is he's leaving as a massive heel, and he's already being trained to be the biggest babyface in the company by the time Raw hits the next day.
Yeah, he was getting cheered in that match over Diesel too.
Yeah, he was. The writing was on the wall for Shawn that he was going to be a babyface. There was no ifs, ands about it. All he had to do was, and I think that's why a lot of people thought he'd become the champion that night, because they just figured he's going to win, then he's going to turn face. Thank God that's not what happened. That's not the story that Shawn Michaels needed at that point. He needed to go in the way he did as the babyface, looking for that title. So to lose that match, somewhat blaming on Sid. Have Sid be a piece of shit about it.
There was more to it than that.
The whole promo the next night on Raw.
Do you remember like the basis around it? Like Shawn brought Sid in to be his bodyguard because he was fighting his former bodyguard. But during the match at WrestleMania, Sid accidentally, or maybe not accidentally, who knows, distracted the referee after Shawn hit a Sweet Chin music. So Shawn blamed Sid for his loss.
Exactly.
So Shawn, cutting his promo, looked at Sid and said, "Next time you get the night off, buddy." And Sid snapped and powerbombed him 3 times and just destroyed him and took Shawn off TV for months. Shawn was off TV till June. He didn't come back till King of the Ring.
It was a great way to bring in Sid. It was a great way to start really his. I know it's not how they brought him in, but you know what I mean.
Well,
it's a really good way to start his big push. Because before you know it, he would be, because Diesel was on his way out. Diesel had a year left. We didn't know that yet. But
yeah, Diesel just started his title run, right? He's only a few months in.
Yeah.
To the transitional champion, Bob Backlund.
But you know the Diesel's going to be, again, poor Bob. He's
two-time transitional champion.
But Diesel, because God forbid he, anyways, this all so much had to happen to get that belt on Brett, eh?
Yeah.
Like so much had to happen to get that belt on Brett. That's so funny to me. But Sid, he would go on over the next few years to be a headliner, like one of the faces of the company. But to bring him in at this point in his in as Shawn's bodyguard, I don't think even at that point, because at that point as a kid, I'm sitting there going, all right, well, that's Sid Justice. What's he gonna do now? Like, who cares? It's Sid Justice. Like he lost to Hogan, and now nobody cares. But he went and he made us care. It was great.
Yeah, absolutely. My number 3 is my actual personal favorite Sid, and that is Sid's entire run in ECW.
Right,
man,
you were gone, but I love it too.
They booked Sid just absolutely perfect.
Yeah,
just absolutely perfect. He just came in, killed people, and left.
Yeah,
and that's it. And I'm not even going to talk about it in any more detail. Just go on YouTube, everybody. Go on YouTube and just type in Sycho Sid ECW or Sid ECW and just watch. The people lost their minds. He'd just come out, boot you, choke slam you outside the ring through a table, power bomb you, put you on a stretcher. See you later. Done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Number two, I definitely went back and forth between this being my number 1 or this being my number 2. I chose this to be my number 2, and that is main eventing 2 WrestleManias. People forget he main evented 2 WrestleManias.
He definitely WrestleMania, and it's so funny because it's they're two of my favorite WrestleManias, and they're two WrestleManias that get shit on all the time.
Because
And
they're not great. WrestleMania 8's not bad.
And I love them both. I love WrestleMania 13. I do.
2
I
good
have
matches.
a special. Am I going to sit here and tell you it's the greatest WrestleMania? Of course I'm not.
You might actually.
Am I going to tell you that it has a very soft spot in my heart because I love the clusterfuck that is that Chicago street fight, and
That's a great match.
And I love how bad the main event is, and I love the fact that it's the home of the greatest wrestling match in WrestleMania history, with Brett and Austin. There's so much about 13 I love, but also 13. That's where my love for wrestling was starting to heighten. When I was a kid, I loved wrestling, but this is the first time in my life, coming into WrestleMania 12 and 13. I'm in high school now, and I'm meeting other kids who like wrestling. I've never had that before. Like as a young kid, it was just me. My one cousin liked it, but he lived across the fucking country. So getting into high school and I'm meeting friends and meeting other wrestling fans, and I have something in common with all these people. And then WrestleMania 13 happens, and it's the greatest thing. So that's part of why I love it so much. But I love both of Sid's main event matches. I do. I don't care that they're bad. I love them.
Yeah, I mean, and he kicked out a Hogan's leg drop at WrestleMania 8, so that's kind of cool. But that match against Taker is not great.
No.
It is boring.
that might be Papa Shango's fault, but yes, he did.
No, that is not Papa Shango's fault. Nothing is Papa Shango's fault.
Okay.
He's perfect. He'll curse you. Number 1, I think, is very obvious, and that's Survivor Series 1996. That's probably the biggest night of his entire career.
100%.
Going into the hardest arena at the time to get over in, maybe next to the ECW arena, but the most prestigious arena of all time, in my opinion, when it comes to wrestling. The home of the WWF forever, Madison Square Gardens, against Shawn Michaels, who was being pushed as your biggest babyface at the time. Well, this New York crowd wanted nothing to do with Shawn Michaels and everything to do with Sycho Sid, and he fist bumped his way down to the ring with a really cool entrance. The Sid Pyro hit, and then he picked up a camera and bashed Jose Lothario.
I'm pretty sure I put that on my pyro list back when we did the pyro list.
Great pyro.
I love that. The Sid lettering. I mean, it was cool. It was cool when the Warrior did it. I liked it when the Warrior did it.
Yeah, it was better when Sid did it.
But it was way better when Sid did it.
Then he picked up the camera, hit Jose Lothario, gave him a quote-unquote heart attack, and then he didn't care. He hit Shawn with it, powerbombed them, and there's your new world champion, Sycho Sid.
Now, there's a great match. It's a great moment, I should say, for Sid. May I ask you your preference? What's the better match, this or the Royal Rumble?
They're both.
I think I'm going Rumble.
They're not. I mean, you kind of flip a coin for me. I mean, they're both just good matches to me. Yeah, I like them both. I like the Royal Rumble maybe because of Vince's commentary, because he's like really extra on it. But yeah, I would say I'm indifferent to both. They're both good.
Okay.
One doesn't stand out more than the other to me.
There's only one thing missing for me on this list.
What's that?
That's a glaring omission, and it's okay that it's not on your list, but it's definitely on mine. If I'm making a Sid moment list, if I'm making a Sid list of anything, this is where I fell in love with Sid. And it's everything from the press conference in 1992 until WrestleMania 8, everything in between. That build to WrestleMania 8, where he was coming out and putting jobbers on stretchers every week, is one of my favorite things in wrestling history.
Yeah, that's cool.
My childhood. That's my, like, when I go back and like I close my brain and I think of myself as like a 7-year-old, and I think of wrestling and I think of what I was watching and I think of what I loved and what really, left something in here. It's the Warrior Shango stuff. It's the Jake Savage, Jake Taker stuff. and it's all the 1992 Sid stuff.
Yeah, he had a great run in 92.
Including the barbershop.
Yeah, I left that off because I feel bad because he hit himself with that cream and everyone laughed at him. So I didn't want this to be a laugh at Sid list.
I think it's my second favorite barbershop moment of all time.
Next to Marty jumping through the window?
Yes. If I listed my favorite barbershop moments of all time, it's probably Hogan Andre, like Hogan ripping the chain off. Because that was barbershop, wasn't it?
No, that was Piper's Pit.
It was Piper's Pit. I get them mixed up. So, anyways, it's definitely Sid number 2 and Rockers number 1.
Yeah, but, yeah. That's fair. That's my list. I had 2 honorable mentions: beating Bret Hart for the world title the night after Final Four, but that was more of Austin and Bret than a Sid moment, in my opinion. And there was a really cool moment I found online of his return from that nasty leg injury he got. He fought in Montreal. He teamed with PCO in a tag team battle royal, and he power bombs a very young rookie Sami Zayn en masse, dressed like a street thug.
I think I've seen that.
Yeah, he power bombs him. He jumps up and jumps over the rope. I thought that was a cool moment.
That's very cool. That's very cool. I only saw the clip, so I didn't know he was tagging with PCO.
Also, honorable mention for me is that his son was on Big Brother, and I'm a big Big Brother mark, and Sid was all over that season as well, so that was good stuff.
I actually watched some of that season because of Sid.
But yeah, that's my list. Rest in peace, Sid.
It's sad for me because Sid's one of the people I've tried the hardest to try to find and get on this show, because Sid was such a big part of my childhood.
I didn't know he was sick.
I neither did I. I'll tell you right now, my kid's birthday's in 2 weeks, and I'm buying a bunch of cool wrestling shit for him. I'll tell you about the stuff I'm buying off air. But one thing I was this close to buying, I had to talk myself out of, because why am I buying a 6-year-old a memorial thing or a collectible that I know he's just going to rip out of the box? But I found for $80 in mint condition this perfect fucking action figure of Sid in the referee shirt.
Oh, nice.
And I was this close, dude.
Yeah.
I was this close.
That's something you buy and hide in the closet for 10 years.
Well, that's it. Because if I would have bought that, it wouldn't have been for the kid. It would have been for me. And then I can't justify that to the wife. I can't justify buying action figures for myself. I just can't. Not in our financial situation.
No.
But I can justify buying them for my kid. I'm buying some cool shit for my kid. Why? Because I want to play with them.
Well, that's all my right, Sid list on behalf of the master and ruler of the world, man. Oh.
Thank you for taking us down memory lane, because Sid will always be one of my favorites. I can't wait to watch more Sid matches with my son. We've watched WrestleMania 8 ad nauseum. We've watched the full 1992 Royal Rumble. He watched the whole thing with me, and I remember him getting so confused. And I love my kid. My kid's smart, okay? My kid is not a dumb kid. And he looks at me and goes, Hulk Hogan's not allowed to do that. I'm like, you're damn right he's not allowed to do that. Hulk Hogan's the bad guy here.
He was.
He was. So, pussy. On behalf, as you said, on behalf of the master and the ruler of the world, Tyler, I have one question for you. Who's the man?
Sid's the man.
Sid's the man. You've been counted out.
Cheers.